What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be, I don't really know what it's going to turn into. I think I'm just going to sit here and talk about kind of the last 5 to 7 years of my fitness journey in a very condensed way. Don't run away. The other day on Instagram, I posted a story kind of talking about my history with fitness and my fitness journey starting in like 2013 and how I've kind of progressed in stages. Since then, I've had different phases. I've struggled with different things, and the story that I shared seemed to really be something that a lot of people could relate to, and I got a lot of people saying, could you talk more about this in depth on YouTube? So here I am. I'm gonna be showing like pictures and clips of stuff, so it's not just like me talking this entire time. I'll probably even include some Instagram captions from back in the day of like me with my struggles, maybe even YouTube clips, I don't know. But I really just want to talk about this. I feel like this is something I've wanted to talk and just like put out on the table for a year or two now, ever since I've really gotten into a really good, happy place with my fitness journey and all of that. And so yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Hopefully this video is not 30 minutes, and hopefully I'm not editing 60 minutes of footage, but I probably will be. Cool. Just so that I don't have to answer this question 50,000 times in the question section, this top is from Fabletics. I don't know if they still sell it, but just join Fabletics, guys. They have cute clothes. My jacket looks like a Lululemon Define jacket, but it's actually fake Lululemon from a brand called Queenie Key. They like really do Lululemon dupes, because I love Lululemon, but I also love fake Lululemon for a fraction of the price. My necklace, I've talked about this in a favorites video, but this is by a brand I found on Instagram called Gorjana. I'll try to leave a link in the description box below if I remember. But moving right along. So I've done a fitness story video before on Instagram where I talked about my history with just like my battle with weight for my whole life. That video I've almost deleted so many times. I don't know why. I feel like I got really personal in that video, and yeah, but it's still up on my channel as of now. You can go watch it if you want to know more of like the really long backstory from like where I was as a kid up until like 2016 or 2017 when I made that video. I'm gonna really focus on just the last 6 years because that's when I feel like my current fitness journey really started. I mean, it goes without saying, like I definitely struggled with my weight my whole life. When I was 20 years old, about to be married, I had about 20 pounds that I wanted to lose, maybe even 30. I think I had some unrealistic expectations for myself at that point. I didn't really know much about fitness or weight loss or anything. The summer before my wedding, when I was 20, I literally survived off of basically like strawberries and egg whites and toast. And I kind of unhealthily dropped a lot of weight because of that. In my wedding photos, I feel like I look really petite and tiny, and I didn't even work out that much in order to lose that weight. It truly just came off with just like not eating a lot. But yeah, so that was in 2012. The first year of my marriage, I kind of gained a couple pounds back, but I was still pretty healthy. I was just like squishy, and I kept trying to just lose weight, doing a ton of cardio, figuring that's what you did to burn fat. And I would lose a few pounds, but I kept just getting like squishier and like small, but not toned, or feeling like I was really like fit and in shape. So I remember early 2013, I got like super vigilant with my diet, super vigilant with workouts, and it seemed like no matter what I would do, I could not break past a certain threshold with my weight. Interestingly enough, that weight was like 130 pounds. So light. For the record, I'm like 150 pounds now, but I also had no muscle then. So anyway, back on track. So I remember I worked at a real estate office, and there was a guy there who was a bodybuilder, and he was super cut. And I remember just like cornering him in the break room one day and was like, how do I get this last like 5 pounds of fat off? And he was like, come back tomorrow, like we can sit and talk about this. And so I came back, maybe it was next week, I don't remember, but I like had my notes ready to go, and he was like, you gotta cut all carbs. And like when you cut carbs, your body just burns body fat, and so you'll end up getting really cut and really lean and toned, whatever. And so I was like, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's a personal trainer, he's like a bodybuilder, he knows what he's talking about. And so that's what started one of my first attempts really at a totally low carb diet, like 20 grams of carbs or less a day. I kind of counted calories. I was like around 1600 I think, but I was working out consistently. I cut all my carbs, and I did lose weight, like I'll give it that, but honestly I think it's because I was just consistent with my diet more so than ever before. I got super lean, like scary skinny at that point. And I still, like, my brain was so warped. I still saw myself as fat. I still thought that I was pudgy. I still thought that people around me thought I was pudgy, and I cared so much about that. I wanted people around me to see me as like a thin girl, a skinny girl. So June 2013, I hired my first personal trainer. I was like, I feel like maybe this could be what gets me to that perfectly skinny body. I think at that point I was just really obsessed with shrinking my thighs. I was really skinny everywhere else, but I still had like a fat on my thighs that I was just like so upset about for whatever reason. And I was so convinced that I needed a trainer to help me get rid of the fat on my thighs. So my trainer was like, you need to start lifting. You're not really lifting any, you're just doing cardio. That's why you are hungry all of the time, and also why you don't look toned, you just look thin, like small, which of course at the time I was like, you think I look thin? So anyway, I started lifting, and just like so many of you guys, I had a lot of gym intimidation. I felt really awkward at the gym lifting outside of my training sessions with my trainer. But like over the course of like 4 or 5 months, I got really more comfortable with gym equipment and lifting. And I still wasn't lifting super duper heavy most of the time. I was just doing a lot of like circuit training and lifting moderately heavy. But my body totally transformed. Very quickly, my body transformed from being just like thin to being more toned. I had a lot of muscle definition. I looked good. Like, I'm not even gonna deny that I feel like I looked good. I was a little bit on the skinny side, like for my own preference now, but it really doesn't matter. Of course, at the time, the scale was going up a little bit because I was gaining muscle mass, and I was freaked out about it. I was so upset. Like I couldn't even see how my body was changing positively because all I could see was that the scale was going up, and it really upset me. And that's when I started really struggling with my diet. I feel like up until that point, I had struggled with diet. I had struggled with like all or nothing mentality and feeling like my diet had to be perfect, and when it wasn't, then I failed or whatever. But I feel like it was really that summer, fall 2013 when I started working with a trainer and really got super into my fitness goals that really became a problem for me. I remember by the end of 2013, like I was trying so hard to stick to my diet. I believe I was just counting calories at that point, calories and protein, and trying to keep an eye on carbs. I didn't really pay much attention to anything else. But my life was fitness. I went to the gym at least once a day, if not twice. I was constantly worried about calories, constantly obsessed with body image. I mean, every day I'd wake up, look at my abs in the mirror, take a bunch of progress photos, ask my husband if I looked fat. Like, it was madness. I just was so obsessed. And so like my weight would kind of flip-flop. Like I kind of stayed in this 10-pound increment because I would like diet really well for a while and then take a week of just like blowing it, binging, feeling sorry for myself, feeling like I was restricted from so many things I wanted to eat. And then I would feel guilty and I'd feel like I had failed, and then I would beat myself up and be like, you're gonna be perfect now. You gotta go back to the gym. You gotta work out extra hard. You have to burn all these calories off. And so that's kind of the cycle I was stuck in. And even when I was on track for a few weeks or a few months, I would still probably once a week have a night where I just like ate a ton of stuff because I was so in this mindset of feeling like I was restricted. Like I couldn't just eat what I wanted. And I would feel so bad about it. I would either immediately go to the gym to try and burn that off, or I would go the first thing the next day and I'd work out fasted for like 2 hours and then usually come back to the gym later. I was just so obsessed with calories and food, and it was just not healthy. I didn't even see at the time that it wasn't healthy because there wasn't a lot of really talk about how this kind of behavior was unhealthy. Like I knew it was kind of obsessive, but I just felt like, well, I'm like super obsessive about fitness. Nothing wrong with that. Like I'm passionate about fitness. So yeah, that really kind of followed me into 2014. I do think I hit a patch in early 2014 where I was like, okay, this is not serving me. This is taking over my life. I think at that point I'd been counting macros for a couple of months, but I decided to just go back to counting calories and counting them loosely. I think I raised my calorie allowance from the ridiculous 1,500 I was aiming for to something more reasonable, like 1,900, 2,000. And I just loosely counted calories, and I actually got amazing results doing that, like relaxing and increasing my food. shocking that that actually helped me lose weight. Just kidding, it's not shocking. That's really what you should do most of the time to lose weight. But anyway, I stopped working with my trainer at that time. I was just kind of doing my own thing. And then halfway through 2014, I was really struggling really bad with body image again. Like I felt like my weight was just creeping up, but honestly, I kept lifting and lifting more and more. So I was really building muscle and I just didn't see it that way. All I saw was that I was fat, that I couldn't fit into my old jeans because my muscles were too big. And again, I looked good. I looked so good. I was so blind at the time. I felt like I was huge and that everyone around me thought I was huge. And I was so afraid that I was gonna gain the weight back if I didn't constantly ride myself to be perfect at the gym, working out twice a day most of the time and at least 45 to 50 minutes of cardio a day. Like I was so rigid about it. It was insane. But then middle of 2014, at that point, middle of 2014, I had wanted to compete in a bikini competition for a little bit of time, probably at least a year at that point, if not 2 years. It was something that was always in the back of my mind, but I almost had like imposter syndrome about it where I felt like, oh, not me. I could never be one of those girls. I could never do that. Like that's for other girls who are like better than me. I could never do a bikini competition. And then middle of 2014, I just really started challenging that. I think that's the time also that I became a certified personal trainer. Yeah, like around summertime 2014. So I'd already kind of broken past that mental barrier. I'd wanted to be a trainer for a couple of years, but again, I just told myself like, not for you, Lynette, like other people do it. It's not for you. You could never be a trainer. And so I'd already broken past that paradigm that I held and I was like, whoa, I'm a trainer at a gym. I'm so excited. And then I think that just kind of elevated me into like, well, why don't I do a bodybuilding competition too? Like, why don't I train for this? At least train for it. If I decide not to do it, then fine. But let me just like see how far I can push myself, which I don't think is an unhealthy thing necessarily. Like that's why people do marathons and triathlons and stuff like that. But it became unhealthy for me. It very much became unhealthy for me. Between June of 2014 when I hired my coach and I think November 2014, I worked with this one coach who doesn't even coach anymore, but honestly, I really had a good experience with him. He's what kind of built the foundation of how I became an online coach, and so I'll just always be grateful for that. But with him, over the course of those few months, I really leaned out. Like all of the muscle that I'd been building the 2 years prior, the year and a half prior, was really starting to show because I had really dialed in my diet. Because I had a coach, I was just so much more on it, and I wasn't having a bunch of like days off or weeks off where I just like ate whatever I wanted the whole weekend or whatever. So I was really looking amazing and I was so immersed in like bikini competition culture at that point. Like I just loved all of it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was so cool. I still was like, I don't know if I actually want to get on a stage, but I was just loving the process. Looking back, I can see, I can't be mad at myself for the passion that I held in that time. It was the hardest, one of the hardest times that I've ever worked. I was so excited about it. It made me so happy. But I do see how that strictness and that fear of not being in the best shape ever held me back from a lot of things. For example, at that time, my husband and I went to Disney World. He surprised me with a trip to Disney World for, I think it was our 2-year anniversary. It would have been 2 years at that point. And I literally brought prepped food to Disney World and I didn't eat anything at Disney World. We stayed at a hotel that had this like amazing bakery and I didn't have any of it. And at the time I was like, well, this is just what dedicated people do. Like we just say no to all indulgences and all treats and like, oh, all these other fatties around me are like indulging and here's me super in shape. Like that was what I told myself, but it was honestly a bummer that like I couldn't have a Mickey waffle or like, you know, all this stuff that I told myself I couldn't have because I was prepping for a show. I also remember coming back from that Disney World vacation and just, even though I had stayed on track for the most part, I think I had one untracked meal, I don't know. I came back from that trip though, like up maybe 2 pounds and I tailspinned. I emotionally tailspinned. I freaked out. I like called my coach sobbing. I was so upset, feeling like I just backtracked so much. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was never gonna be the body that I wanted to be and have. And like, it was just, to me, it's just, I look back on those moments and I'm like, whoa, dude, like you were really, really obsessed and wrapped up in this bondage to a body that even though I enjoyed a lot of the process, there was also so much pain involved because I was never happy with myself. I was never happy with the way that I looked and I constantly, every day of my life felt fat. I would tell my husband, like, I know I'm not fat, but I didn't actually know that. I genuinely thought that I was kind of chunky, which looking back now, I'm like, what was chunky? Your brain? Girl. But anyway, it was a really tough time in a lot of ways. I look back and I see the positives, and I see how this really built on to like what would end up happening for me. But anyway, so November 2014, I stopped coaching with him because I'm like, I need a break. Like, I've been really hitting macros really hard, counting my macros really intensely for the last 4 months. I've lost all the weight that I wanted to lose. I'm pretty happy with how I look. I still wanted to be leaner, but I was like, I just need a break. I'm gonna take a break over the holidays, and I'm just gonna do my own thing. So I think from like November until January of the following year, so like the holiday season, I think I gained back maybe 10 pounds, which is what I think I lost with my coach in that 4-month period. And so looking back, I'm like, okay, you just put back healthy weight on from just like indulging at Christmas, and even in January, after putting 10 pounds on, I was still in good shape. But of course, I felt humiliated that I had put on this weight. I felt like such a failure, and I was like, I've got to do something, right? This like panic set in of like, oh my gosh, I'm heavier than I want to be. I can't stay like this. I look awful. I should back up a little bit and let you guys know. I feel like I've talked about this before, but maybe not. After I worked with that coach in fall 2014, I did go see a therapist for a few months, because I realized that I was so like unwell about my mind around food. But like, because I saw myself gaining a couple of pounds in that time, I was just like losing it. Like, I remember being at the gym on the elliptical, trying to force myself through 90 minutes of cardio because I had, I don't know, eaten a cupcake the night before or something, and just texting my husband and being like, I'm miserable and I don't want to live. I feel constantly trapped by food and by counting food, and I feel like I can never be normal and I can never be healthy, and I just feel like every time I do anything that's not perfect, like I don't do the cardio I said I was gonna do, I eat a little bit more food than I was supposed to eat, I feel like I totally failed, and it makes me like panic, almost like freak out internally, and it makes me just like fall apart, and I end up skipping the rest of my workout and going home and just like eating junk food, because there's this part of my brain that's like, why bother taking care of myself anymore when I've already ruined it for the day? Not the right way to think, but that's how I was thinking, because I was so trying to be a perfectionist about my diet, because at that point, that's what I learned, is that in order to get those amazing results, you had to be on it like all of the time, and that's how you got results. And so to not be on it all of the time, because it was the holidays and I was like living like a normal person, I was just panicking and I was really upset. So I did go to therapy for a few months to talk with a therapist about it. And honestly, I do feel like she really helped. She helped me with a lot of practices that helped me kind of break that all or nothing mentality. And to this day, I feel like there are some things that she helped me deal with that have just never been a problem for me again. So that was great. But anyway, it's now January. I feel like, oh, that therapist cured my disordered way of seeing food. Let's jump into a bodybuilding competition. So I hired that coach again, and I said, I want to do a bodybuilding competition for real this time. Like, committing right now. I'm going to sign up today. I want to do this. I want to compete. And he was like, all right, let's do it. So from January 2015 until June 2015, I prepped for my first and what would end up being my only bikini competition. And honestly, I did enjoy the competition. There was something about being in that process of competing that I loved. Like, having a goal, working super hard for it, having to push yourself, having to rise above, like, and just challenge yourself consistently to do something that makes you uncomfortable. There's some sort of amazing high that comes with that. If you have ever trained for something or really just done anything to accomplish something great, then you know what it's like to just really push yourself. There's nothing like it. However, I just still feel like bodybuilding competitions are just, it's just too risky. And I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself now, but what it does to people mentally and emotionally and even physically is just so risky, that what you do in that time to compete, how you train your body and how you utilize food in that time that you're prepping, can just leave such a damaging, lasting effect for years and years. So fast forward to June 2015, I competed. I honestly didn't even get as lean as I should have. I'm gonna show pictures of what I looked like. I was lean for sure, but like, I didn't place super well. I kind of placed like mid-range. I think out of like 20 some odd girls, I was like 15 or 16, I don't know. But yeah, I was supposed to technically get even leaner than that, and I don't know how I would have done it. My body was just like super sick. Even at that level of leanness, I was just low energy. I mean, at that point, to get to that place on stage, at the end of my prep, I was doing at least an hour to an hour and a half of cardio a day. I was on 30 grams of carbs or less a day. My calories overall weren't awful. I was at like maybe 15 to 1600 calories a day, but like, I was doing an hour to 90 minutes of cardio a day. So like, no. All right, I competed June of 2015. I was like all in. I was like, oh, I'm gonna compete again. I wanna compete next year. I knew that my body needed a break from dieting because, you guys, at this point, I'd hired my coach. Well, first of all, I'd hired my first personal trainer June 2013 after 6 months of dieting when I hired him. And then from June 2013 to the end of the year, I was dieting. And then the following year, I was dieting. June 2014, I hired my bikini prep coach, worked with him until November, dieting, took 3 months off for Christmas, and then dieted. So basically in like a 2-year span, I had really only taken maybe a total of 3 or 4 months off from dieting. My body needed a break. And I knew that, but I was still like, okay, like I'm gonna, you know, after my competition, I'm gonna gain a little bit of healthy weight back. I had decided I was gonna reverse diet. I was gonna do this like 20-week long reverse diet. Which I just have a bone to pick with like super long reverse diets. I don't think that they're necessary most of the time. I wish at that time that somebody had been like, hey Lynette, let's do a 6-week reverse diet. That'll be way more easier for you to manage so that you're not still in a deficit for another 20 weeks. But I didn't know any better. I don't think my coach at the time knew any better. So yeah, we had a 20-week reverse diet plan, which if you don't know what reverse dieting is, basically it's when after you've been dieting for a while and you're at a really low level of calories because you've been dieting, week by week, you slowly increase your calorie intake so that you don't just go from like, you know, 1,400 calories to a maintenance level of 2,200 calories or whatever overnight, because when you do that, you can kind of like mess with your system, gain some like temporary fat or weight back just from doing that massive jump. Honestly, I don't really think it's that necessary. Most people have not been dieting long enough to really require a reverse diet, but that's just one girl's opinion. That reverse diet process kind of sucked. I do have some videos on my channel back from like July, August 2015 of me attempting to reverse diet, and I think I made it 7 weeks. I reverse dieted for 7 weeks, and I really had only gained like maybe 3 or 4 pounds at that point. I was super proud of myself of like, because a lot of people after a bikini competition, they rebound really bad because they just have felt restricted for so long, so that when they finally do eat some like normal food, they can't stop themselves. They have this incredible hunger from being so lean and so deprived for so long. I've seen so many girls compete and then gain 20, 30 pounds within a month or 2 months, and I'm not judging them. I totally get it after having been through this experience myself. And you just wait, my weight gain came. It just didn't happen right away. So 7 weeks into my reverse diet, which I am struggling through, I have a ton of really bad body image days. Like basically every day after I competed, I felt like my body was horrible. I thought it was fat, I thought it was huge, I thought everyone around me was judging me for all the weight that I gained, which is crazy. I was so lean and so tiny, but your brain is just like screwed up after you compete. Like you can't see your body in a healthy way anymore. All you can see is what you looked like on stage, and you just want to stay like that, but you can't because it's not healthy. It's too lean. It's not something that any woman can maintain without damaging her health. But yeah, I remember at the 7-week mark, I was just so emotionally drained from feeling fat all the time, having terrible body image, hating my body, feeling restricted, feeling like, dude, I wish I could just eat like a normal person and not gain 30 pounds as a result of it. That's all I could think about all of the time. And I feel like maybe I talked about that on social media. Maybe I tried to play it cool, like I'm doing this thing, because I was kind of embarrassed about how much I was struggling. I don't really know. I'd have to look back at my Instagram posts. You guys can always scroll back 4 years if you want to look at my Instagram feed. Everything is still there. But yeah, week 7. Sorry, trying to move this story along. My husband and I decide to go on like a short little mini 4-day vacation up to Grand Haven, Michigan. That's one of our favorite places ever, and we just wanted to get away. And my husband was like, how about you like don't diet those 4 days? Like just enjoy yourself, and it's just 4 days. What's 4 days gonna do? And I was totally game. Like I don't even know if it was his idea. Maybe it was my idea, but I was like, it's just 4 days. I'm just gonna forget about dieting, forget about my body. I'm just gonna wear loose fitting clothes and we'll stay active and it'll be fine, and I'm just gonna eat what I want. But honestly, those 4 days changed everything in a really weird way. For those 4 days, I ate whatever I wanted, as much as I wanted. And a typical day of food looked something like this. We would get a huge breakfast, like a full plate of like eggs, bacon, toast, pancakes. And then after breakfast, I would want a snack where I go get like 2 king-size chocolate bars and just like down them. I would then a couple hours later get lunch, and lunch would be like a burger and fries and a huge dessert, and I would still be hungry, but I wouldn't want to tell my husband. We would then a few hours later go get dinner, where we would get a huge plate of nachos to share. I would get some huge dinner of my own, a couple of sides, and order a dessert again. Like I'm talking like a huge piece of cake or something, like something huge. And then after that, my husband would want to go get ice cream somewhere else because he didn't get dessert at the restaurant, so I would go get ice cream with him in addition to all of the food I had for dinner. And then we would go back to our hotel room at the end of the day, and I'd be like, I want snacks. And so we'd go out and get a huge platter of cookies and some Doritos, and I would just sit and eat that stuff until I was so full. I was like hot, like I was hot and sweating, and I couldn't lay down because I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was so uncomfortable, but I was just so full from eating so much. And that's how the whole 4-day vacation went, was me eating like that, because I felt like this is my last chance to enjoy food I want to eat. I haven't been able to do this in so long. I deserve this. And I also felt like I'm so hungry. This is how much food it takes to make me feel not hungry anymore. I didn't see it as sad at the time. I was just like, God, I'm such a pig. Like I should have better self-control than this. But now looking back and seeing that like I was so unhealthy being a lower body weight than my body really wanted to be. And because of that, I was just perpetually hungry. Literally, when you're extremely lean and you've been dieting for a long period of time, your hunger cues and your satiety really gets screwed up to some degree. And you may find that you struggle to ever feel satisfied or full, and you're just like a bottomless pit. And that's where I was at that time. I got back from vacation. I did not weigh myself because I knew it was bad, and I was just immediately back into like diet mode. Gotta get this weight off, gotta get back to my reverse diet, gotta make sure I don't gain any more weight. But I feel like after that trip, something had just kind of like clicked in my brain that wasn't allowing me to go back to where I was. Like I just couldn't bring myself to diet that hard anymore. I kind of floundered for a couple of months. I was trying really hard to like lose the weight, but I couldn't. I even went on like a mini cut literally in August when I had just stepped off stage in June. And then in August I was like, oh, mini cut time. I even have that whole video series on my YouTube channel. And I had people tell me at the time like, Lynette, you know you shouldn't be doing this. And I was just so defensive. I was like, it's fine. Like it's just a short mini cut. It's not a big deal. I was really internally defensive about it because I knew they were right. But I was also not willing to live with the body that I had at that time. It was just not good. Mentally, I was just so not in a good place. And then September, I think I hired a coach, September and October, a totally different coach who sucked, by the way. Worst coach I've ever had. He was literally so mean and made me feel bad, like just constantly guilted me for overeating and not hitting my macros. He literally just like showed me exactly what kind of coach I never want to be for people. After working with him, he gave me so much anxiety because now not only was I beating myself up for overeating, but I knew if I had to report to him that I had overeaten, that he would just freak out on me. And like when I wasn't losing weight with him, because I could like not even stick to a diet, he was just like, what's your problem? Like you should be losing weight, you're not losing weight, so you let me know when you're ready to stick to your diet and I'll be here. But until that point, like just like peace. He was so mean. After working with him for 2 months, September and October of 2015, I was just like done. My weight, I think I was up to like 145. My stage weight, by the way, was like 132, I want to say. Yeah, like 132, but I was like pure muscle. I think my body fat percentage was maybe 16, 17%, which is low for me. I know some women can get lower than that. 16, 17% was low for me. But yeah, I was 145 when I stopped working with that coach in October, which to me I felt massive at the time. So after working with him, I was like, I have to stop counting. I cannot do this anymore. I'm sick of tracking. I want to just be normal. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop tracking. I'm still gonna eat healthy. Like I'm still gonna keep all my healthy habits, but I'm just gonna eat intuitively. And I was so sure that I was not gonna gain weight. And I was like, maybe I'll even lose weight because I'm not stressed out about food anymore. But it really just turned into like a month and a half of me eating whatever I wanted. I ended up gaining 15 pounds in about 6 weeks, going up to like 160. I think it actually stuck through like December. I think November and December. Yeah, I just like ate whatever I wanted and I got up to 160. And I felt like crap, but mentally and emotionally I had just checked out or something. Like I was just like, I can't do this. I will lose the weight again eventually, but like I have to have some sort of like mental freedom to not be tracking and to not be hungry all of the time, because that's another thing, is I was so sick of just being hungry all of the time. So I really just let myself eat as much as I wanted, and I gained 15 pounds in 6 weeks. After those 6 weeks, at the end of 2015, I did feel like, I don't really feel like the same way about food like I used to. I actually get full now. I felt like I had taken the time I needed to really let myself be. I don't even know how to describe it. But yeah, so in January 2016, we pick back up and I decide to compete again. I hired a couple of coaches, like a girlfriend and boyfriend, and they were gonna help me compete. Essentially, they were different. They had never done macros with me. We did a meal plan. That's what I did with them from like January 2016 until maybe like March or April 2016. And it was actually, as much as I don't recommend meal plans, for me it was nice to no longer be thinking about macros and to not be tracking macros. Up until that point, I had been so pro flexible dieting and so anti meal plan because I knew meal plans were so restrictive and it didn't really teach you a lot about nutrition. But at the time, I was just grateful to not be counting anything again. I was grateful to just be told what to eat and to eat it and to not be having to track my food or really weigh my food or like pull up my MyFitnessPal. I never used my MyFitnessPal because I just knew my meal plan and I just did it. And I lost weight because, I mean, a meal plan, calorie counting, whatever you do to put you in a caloric deficit, it's going to work. But from January to April, I was like pushing hard to compete, but I started realizing, I think shortly after I went to the Arnold that year, the Arnold bodybuilding show, I went to it in early March of 2016. It wasn't my first time going, but I went and I just kind of realized that like that lifestyle, as much as I wanted it to be part of me, it just wasn't. I was really struggling to be super crazy structured and rigid with my workout plans, rigid with my dieting, with my meal plan. I was just struggling. And I think at that point, early 2016, I really was like, you know what? Competing is just not for me. I thought it was, I wanted it to be. I feel like that was such a huge part of my identity at that point, was being like the ultimate fit chick, being a competitor. Everybody on social media was competing or trying to compete at that time. All the people I followed, and I thought all the people who followed me wanted me to be a competitor, and that's just how I identified myself. But I knew it was just not for me. So I think it was March or maybe April, I kind of let them know like, hey, thanks, but I'm not gonna compete anymore. I still wanted to lose weight. And so through the summer of 2016, I was just trying to count calories, count macros. However, I will say being on a meal plan started making me fear food again, making me fear certain foods, because if it wasn't on my meal plan, then maybe it's actually not healthy enough to make me lose weight. I don't know. I did so many restricted, rigid things that I tried to be perfect at with my nutrition for so long that it just, if it wasn't messing me up one way, it messed me up another. So 2016, this summer, I had horrible body image. I was probably like 150, 155, close to the body I am now, but like just different. I don't know. For some reason, I just really hated that body at the time, probably because I kept comparing it to the summer before when I was 20 pounds less when I was competing. And yeah, I just was never happy with how I looked. I was constantly comparing myself to old Lynette. I was constantly, you know, checking my abs and weighing myself daily and talking about how I'm getting back on track, I'm getting back on track. And my whole life was still about dieting. It's just that at this point, I wasn't getting results because I think I was so burnt out mentally on like trying to lose weight that I just wasn't able to adhere to it anymore. I've been dieting for so long that my mind and my body were like, we're not doing this. Like, you're just gonna have to be kind of normal for a little bit. Random sidebar, kind of. Fall of 2016, I actually went back to ministry school. If you've not been following me for a while, then you may not know this. Back in like, 2010, I did 1 year of Bible school. It was a 2-year program. I did 1 year of it, but then I ended up getting married, and so I had to put it on pause for a bit. 2016, I went and finished my 2nd year, so I went back to school for that fall 2016, and I feel like that really just started changing everything for me. I think going back into ministry school and really having my priorities kind of checked at that point, I started realizing like, wow, there's like so much more to life and really just existence outside of just being in amazing shape. And I really don't have to be perfect at this to be doing okay. And if it takes me 6 months or the whole school year to get to a body that I'm happy with, then that's what it takes. And I think just taking that mental like backseat kinda to my fitness goals and really just making that conscious decision to kind of relax about it and not feel like things had to be perfect, but also feel like just because they weren't perfect, that didn't mean that they were a failure. I feel like I started really finding my balance in my fitness journey and with nutrition. So like starting in fall 2016 and into 2017, basically that whole school year, I think I lost about 10 pounds slowly from like fall 2016 into summer 2017. Like over the school year, I just worked on my habits and worked on having healthier habitual habits, not stuff that I was like constantly like, you gotta do this thing, but actually just doing that thing repeatedly until it became a habit, if that makes sense. Eating healthier things, just having my habit be healthier breakfasts, having my habit be, you know, 4 consistent workouts a week, even though it wasn't 5 or 6 or 7 like I used to do, just understanding that 4 could be fine. And I would let myself go out on the weekends. Like when the weekends hit, my husband and I both had time off, I was like, I'm gonna let myself go and enjoy a burger. Maybe not a burger every day of the weekend, but I'm gonna let myself have a little bit more balance with this and like not beat myself up for having nachos on a weekend and having a burger here and there. Like it's not the end of the world. And I honestly just didn't have the time to be going hard with my fitness goals because I was in school full time. I was literally glued to a desk for school 20 hours a week. I was still working in my business full time, my coaching business that I've been doing since 2015. I was still doing that full time, so probably another 30, 40 hours a week towards that. And then homework on top of that, which was probably another 10 hours of homework. So like I was busy. I was lucky if I could get into the gym 4 days a week at that time. And honestly, food was just like, I gotta eat what I can eat when I can eat because I'm so busy. And yeah, I feel like just having something else to focus on or just making those small choices internally of like, I don't wanna be obsessed with this anymore. I want this to be a part of my life that I enjoy, but I don't want to be obsessed with it, and I want to be okay with whatever body I end up with as a result of not being obsessive. And I feel like that's really where things started to change for me. In 2017, I started kind of recognizing like, okay, wow, like I actually, instead of trying to force 10 pounds of weight loss in a month, I kind of took like a year to lose weight, and that's when I kind of hit what I think is kind of like my happy weight, which is like 145 to 150-ish. That's kind of where I feel my best and is where really I maintain most of the time now since 2017. I kind of realized like, wow, this was actually a lot easier and a lot more simple than it was before when I was trying to make sure everything happened perfectly and happened fast. And I think at that time I was just loosely counting calories, maybe 4 or 5 days a week, aiming for a calorie goal and trying to maintain a protein goal. I was not really rigid with it though. That's where I feel like things really started to change for me, was about 2.5 years ago, late 2016, early 2017, when I just realized I can't try and be perfect anymore. I can't aim for a perfect body. It doesn't make sense for me. And it's hard, right? Like it was hard the first few months. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that after years of just wanting to be 130 pounds, that suddenly I woke up one day and was fine being 145 or 150. I can't say that I woke up one day and was fine having belly fat and jiggly arms right here and like whatever random stuff that ended up coming with the body that is a balanced body. I can't say that I woke up one day and was just fine with it, but over time, I just got kind of used to it. And I made that conscious choice of like, okay, I can either sit around hating this body and being pissed at it for not being something better and guilting myself into working out harder and dieting harder and letting that take over my life again, or I can focus on just learning to accept this body that I have, doing what I can to make the changes that I can do, finding other ways to feel pretty and that doesn't require dieting. Overall, I just had to let that expectation go of expecting my body to be perfect, expecting my diet to be perfect, all of that, because I realized that having the freedom and like the fact that I just feel good and I never feel restricted, I wanted that. I wanted to have what, you know, people say this to me all of the time, Lynette, I want to just feel normal again. Like I don't want to see food as numbers, and I don't want to feel like I'm trapped in macros and having to count calories all of the time. And I get it, dude. It sucked. And I'm just not willing to go back there. Would it be nice if my body looked how it looked, you know, a few years ago? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, that would be great, but it's not gonna happen for me at this point in my life. Maybe down the road, I will like have more time to dedicate to my own fitness goals, and if I do, that's great, but that's not what I want for my life right now. I don't want to go back to a life of my whole life being about macros and numbers and fitness 24/7 to where I had no friends. My marriage sucked, like just being frank with you guys. Everything in my personal life was crappy because all I cared about was losing weight, counting my food, controlling my food, getting to the gym as much as possible to try and control my body. And that just wasn't worth it. And I know a lot of you guys are still struggling with body image, and you look in the mirror, you hate what you see, and so you feel like I have no choice but to keep dieting. I have no choice but to continue being obsessed with numbers and counting macros like crazy, because if I don't, then I have to live with this body. And I get it. I get, like, trust me, if I was like maybe 50 pounds heavier than I am right now, I would be more inclined to work harder on my fitness goals because I would be in a body that I'm really uncomfortable with. But then also the body I have right now, 2 years ago, I would have been massively uncomfortable with it. And yet now I'm really proud of my body. I think I look great. I don't really worry about it. It's not really on the forefront of my mind because I just have decided that my body is great and that's all that I care about. If other people don't think it's great, then other people don't have to. And I guess just now, this is all so easy for me. I don't really have bad body image days because I just don't let that stuff get to me anymore. I look in the mirror and I still see stuff I don't love, but it just doesn't break my heart like it used to. I can make peace with the fact that I'm not perfect looking and I'm never going to be perfect looking, and as I age I'm just gonna get less perfect looking, and I'm okay with that. That's life. And I have so much more going on for me and things that make me happy and things that make me feel good than I did 3 or 4 years ago when my whole world was just about losing weight. And best of all, my relationship with food is so, it just feels normal. Food doesn't freak me out. Unhealthy food doesn't freak me out. I don't ever have binge urges or anything like that anymore because food is not rare to me. I don't restrict myself from eating the things that I like, and I haven't for a long time. And so there can be pizza and cake and ice cream around me and I don't feel like, oh, I have to eat all of it, or no, I'm not allowed to have it, or I don't feel those things anymore because I've let myself just relax about it. And yeah, I guess I just want to share this because I want you guys to know where I came from and also where I've come to, and that you guys can get in this same place too, where your life no longer is about constantly losing those 10 pounds or losing those 5 pounds. Like, I think it would probably be impossible for your weight to just stay exactly the same, even if you do have a balanced relationship with food and you feel good. I mean, I like food. So like during the holiday season, I often gain 5 or 6 pounds, and then I'll take a couple of months kind of pulling back on calories to lose those 5 or 6 pounds, and then I just go on with my life. But even now, even during times where I lose weight, like earlier this year, I had a few months where I was counting calories a little bit to try and drop some weight. I was only counting calories maybe 3 or 4 days a week. I was really not rigid about it. I wasn't really weighing anything. I was just kind of eyeballing stuff. And like I said, I really only did it 4 or 5 days a week. I never did it 7 days a week. I just didn't want to and I didn't need to. And yeah, after 3 or 4 months, something like that, I dropped the pounds that I'd gained over Christmas, and it wasn't stressful for me. I never felt like restricted. I had pizza and nachos and ice cream and all the things that I loved during that time. And I think the big difference here is that when you have that sense of balance around your food, you don't fall off track so hard whenever you do have kind of like an off day. Because for a lot of people who are constantly dieting, constantly pushing themselves to be perfect with their diet, when a day comes that they do mess up or they go over their calories, go over their macros, overeat for whatever reason, they feel so bad about it. They feel like they failed their diet and they failed what they're trying to do, that they've messed up so bad. That I see this happen all of the time with my clients. They feel like, well, the day is already ruined because I overate, so I'm just gonna keep overeating and eat everything that I want to kind of get this out of my system, and I've already screwed up today, so what's the big deal if I keep eating, and I'll just start over tomorrow, or I'll start over next Monday. And what people don't realize is that whole thing, that mess, is what actually stops them from getting results, not the actual once in a while overeating or extra dessert or whatever extra food you might have every once in a while. I mean, because a burger on a Tuesday night or an ice cream sundae on the weekend, those small things are not what holds back fitness results. Those things don't even really make a difference in your body, short-term or long-term. But what can is when you allow yourself to freak out because you had a burger on a Tuesday and you feel like that burger means that you failed your diet. So then after the burger, you have another burger, an extra order of fries, you go home and you have dessert, and then you have chips, and you eat all this stuff because you feel like you failed. Or worse yet, you feel like you failed so bad, you feel like the whole week is a waste or a wash. I'm just saying stuff that people have said to me and the way that I used to think. But yeah, you'll throw out a whole week, you know, 4 or 5 days left in the week, you'll throw the whole week out and just eat whatever and overeat and just binge or do something like that because you feel like, whatever, I've already ruined the week, as if there's something about a burger on a Tuesday that somehow destroys a week. I don't know. I mean, I get it because that's how I used to be, but it's just so untrue. But yeah, it's that cycle that people get into of trying to diet perfectly, and then as soon as something goes slightly unperfectly, they freak out and just unravel and overeat a ton. That's what keeps holding you back, not the actual just overeating a little bit every once in a while. Because if you were to just let yourself do that, have a random burger on a Tuesday, have pizza on the weekend with your girlfriends, and not freak out about it and not allow it to cause you to keep overeating, your results would be so much more consistent, your mood would be so much more consistent, and you would just feel better as a whole. I mean, this is the kind of stuff, if you guys follow me on Instagram, sorry, I'm getting hot. This is the kind of stuff I talk about on Instagram all of the time on my Instagram story. These are the kind of conversations I have with my own one-on-one coaching clients and my Balance and Thrive group membership clients, because as soon as we can get this figured out and have this sorted out for us in our brains, a lot of the fitness stuff becomes so much more simple, and you start enjoying the process again instead of feeling trapped and bound by the process, and you actually start getting consistent results instead of constantly spinning your tires. So, I'm sure this video was super long and super, yeah, just long. I've had to stop filming 4 times now to let my battery recharge. I've been working on this video for like 4 hours now, so. But I hope that this was helpful to somebody. I don't know who this is helpful for. I don't know how many of you even made it to the end of this video. If you did, leave this emoji in the comment section. I just want to know who made it this far. And also, this is my favorite emoji ever. He's just so cute. If you guys have any questions or any thoughts, I'd love to hear them from you. I'd love to hear your feedback from this video and what you're struggling with in your own fitness journey. I know that a lot of the times I don't talk about this stuff on YouTube. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just always want to show you guys food and the stuff that people really want to see, and I just don't always trust that people want to sit and listen to me talk about this kind of stuff. But yes, I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Let me know, and let me know if you'd like me to do other videos similar to this in the future and about what subjects in particular, because I can totally do that. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!